Hi, I'm Andy Brown, and in June I'll be at EuroSTAR where I'll be giving a tutorial session on training software professionals using simulations. I hope to see you there. So, what's this tutorial all about? Well, you don't need to be in software development for very long before you realise that some of the most important things you need to learn are just never taught to you in any training sessions. Sure, your company may pay for you to do some ISTQB training and certification, and this is good, and maybe arrange some training around tools like Jira and pay for you to attend an Agile Scrum course with some certification added on the end. But you don't need to be on a software project for very long before you realise that software projects never run like they do in the classroom. On projects, things go off track. You realise this. And you also realise that others also know it's off track. But nobody wants to say anything about this in any of the meetings. Or perhaps if you're in testing, and we're all testers here, you may find that the release into the test phase is delayed. This is obviously going to impact how much testing you can do before the go live date, which may not have moved, even if the release into test was delayed, or a whole bunch of features needed for go live are missing, or the software is a whole lot buggier than anyone expected. How will you ever know how much each factor will impact your release? You and your team have a whole bunch of decisions to make about how to best handle these unexpected events, plus how to best communicate your concerns to the stakeholders in a way that will lead them to make the best decisions. The problem is that all these unexpected adverse events never occurred in the training classroom. Or if they did, they were briefly discussed in a vague, unsatisfactory way. This leads you to having to make important decisions in real time without ever having practiced before, and not being able to explore the likely downstream consequences of your decisions. So, what will we be doing in this tutorial session, and how can it help you when you're facing these problems on a real-life project? In this session, I'll introduce you to a discipline called system dynamics. It's part of systems thinking, which many of us are aware of, but it goes much further than most people within system thinking. I came across systems dynamics whilst I was writing my book on technical debt, Taming Your Dragon. I used this to model the growth of technical debt on software projects under different conditions, such as when a project was on schedule or behind schedule, when it was adequately resourced or under-resourced. I built models of the software development process and used those models to explore how different approaches would lead to different levels of technical debt. As I built these models, I learned so many different things about the software process, things that are not obvious if you're just using static models and linear thinking. I realised that this discipline offered us the possibility of better addressing many long-standing problems that we have in software development. Problems that have eluded a satisfactory solution for not just years, but for decades. Things like project underestimation, too much technical debt, sub-optimization between teams, working in silos. I realised that the tools used by System Dynamics, these simulation tools, offered us a wonderful way to learn many skills, especially judgment and decision-making skills that are so difficult to teach in a classroom setting, or indeed anywhere else, even in the hard knocks of a live project. In this session, we'll run some simulations that model things like a helpdesk and a product development process. We'll make some runs and show how you can use these tools to plan out your resource requirements in a far better way than you can ever do with a spreadsheet. You'll also see how you can use these tools to predict not only your resource requirements, but also things such as your expected rate of helpdesk requests arriving into your system. You can run a baseline simulation, then run it again, make a decision, and then run it to the end to see how your decision turned out. If you don't like the outcome, you can rewind and make a different decision and then see how that turns out. Try doing that on any real-life project. You can also use your model to plan what your options are if, After you go live, you're receiving far more or far fewer Helpdesk requests than you predicted. You can see the impact of adjusting your resourcing levels, moving resource between different areas, or varying overtime or management pressure. We'll also look at the effects of how applying management pressure in one area may lead to unintended adverse effects in different areas. We'll learn how to think of a system as a whole. In my next video, I'll dive a bit deeper into this Helpdesk simulation model. Plus, I'll walk through a model for product development, which explores how decisions we make when our project is in firefighting mode often lead to problems later on for the organisation. So, if you're thinking of coming to EuroSTAR Edinburgh in June, come along to my tutorial on learning through simulations. Also, bring your laptop. You won't absolutely need it, but you'll get so much more out of the session if you get hands-on. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in June.